The reason I think I have a schus to speak tonight. I have a right to speak, and I'll tell you why. Two reasons. The Yom Tes of Yud Tes Kislev that's celebrated is the Yom Tes where it's brought down in Sforim that this is really the Hafotzos Chasidus, the idea that the Torah Baal Shem Tov would be Yafutzu, would go out to the world, Torah Chasidus in general, and Torah Chabad in particular, it's felt was Nisyased on Yud Tes Kislev with the freeing of the Rebbe, the freeing of the Balatanya. It was a sakona if then that Yafutzu would be stopped. There was a kitruk milamata, and of course everything has its counterpart milamala, and it's brought down in Sfarim that there was a kitruk milamala because of the gray area of Kabbalah and the Nistar part of Torah which was given, and they got the go-ahead on Yud Tes Kislev, and therefore this is considered Chag HaGeula for Torah HaChasidus, for a personal Torah HaGeula, Chag HaGeula, and also for Torah HaChasidus, and the idea that the Baal Shem Tov's Torah and the Chabad in particular would now be spread out over the world. Now, I am the greatest example of that, and that's my right to speak tonight. Because I am a die-hard Misnaged, and I am a die-hard Litvisher, a real Litvisher background. My father's a Kletzka, a Talmud of Baron Kotler Zatzal, and I'm a Litai through and through and through. And yet, Baruch Hashem, I stand up here, maybe it's somewhat pompous of me, but I consider myself a Talmud of Rabbi Yoel Khan, Shlita in Chasidus. He had a shir in Monsey, a special shir he had for Talmidei Rav Abba. He came to someone's house and to Monsey once a week to give a Tanya shir. Sometimes it was Likutei Torah, and we wanted to go very much. Rav Abba, of course, forbade us from going. That was during Night Seder. So he said, okay, he'll give us a special shir after Night Seder is over, but he wasn't allowed to come into the yeshiva. So the whole yeshiva, many, let's say 20, 25 guys in yeshiva, emptied out, and we went to this person's house after Night Seder, after Ma'ariv, and he gave us a special shir. It was from 10:30 to 12 at night. That was the shir. And of course more people came. The shir wasn't miyuchat for us, but that was a shir for us, and we became very close with him. And this went on for years, once a week for years. And I'm proud to say, if I can be notel HaTorah to that degree, I consider myself a Talmud. I don't know, maybe that's, to whatever degree I am familiar with Chabad and with Chasidus B'chlal, it's from Rabbi Yoel Shlita, who's an amazing person. It's not nice of me to even talk about him. So that's my kesher with Chabad and Torah HaChasidus as a Makabel. I'm a Talmud of Rabbi Yoel. As a no-saying, I said, I'm going to give a Tanya shir. And basically the Tanya shir is based on what I remember from Rabbi Yoel. And what I don't remember now, there's tapes and, MP3, and there's everything, shiurim, from different Magidi shiurim, but I stick with the Rabbi Yoel only. And so in terms of a no-saying, so I'm the best example of L'chshei Yafutzu. Because as I say, I'm the worst literature you could possibly imagine. But both as a makabel and a no-saying, so I represent L'chshei Yafutzu better than anyone else here. And that's my schus to speak and say a few words, which I didn't say yet, believe it or not. When I get the shir, many times I pause and I point out that so much of what Chabad does, I say people don't realize it. They think, oh, they do this, and they do this, and they put tefillin on a Jew that never heard of tefillin, and they go out in every corner of the world, and you know, and they don't get, probably they don't get enough credit for being in every, they cover every inch of the planet, right? What did they say? Coca-Cola and Chabad, that's everywhere. And, but everything they do, like it's maybe it seems strange and it seems weird, and you know, if we hold of it, or well, I wouldn't do that, etc. But everything is really based on Tanya. And when we learn Tanya, I try to relate the things in Tanya that we learn, and I say, oh, so if this is what a Nefesh Yehudi is, and a Nefesh Yehudi is so essentially different, and it's not really totally in what the Jew does, but the very fact that he's a Jew, and he has a Nefesh Yehudi, so he's already kosher to the Ribono Shalom, and Mamela, it's meaningful to put tefillin on him, and it's meaningful to do this, and it's meaningful to do that. Just by, and so many things I try to point out that has its roots in Tanya. It doesn't spring from nowhere. It springs from the things we're learning in Tanya. And one of the things that we say is right away on the Shar Daf. It says, you know, the Balatani writes that he's writing the Sefer to show that Kikoro ve'lecha hadover ma'od beficha u'belevavcha la'asosa. Right? That's right there on the Shar Daf. And rather today, I give it a Yaakov Shir of Shabbos afternoon, and we have a Rashba in Brachos that explains this pasuk. The Rashba in Brachos in Chedushay Haggados explains that you've covered the gamut of Torah. Befichos is the Rashba. Beficha u'belevavcha la'asoso is Dibur, Machshava, and Maisa. Beficha u'belevavcha la'asoso is Dibur, Machshava, and Maisa. And it's Torah, Avoida, and Gemilas Chasadim. Beficha, Dibur is Torah. Belevavcha and Machshava, that's Avoida, that's Tefillah, Avoida Belev, and La'asoso is Maisa, is Gemilas Chasadim. That's the Rashba. What the Rebbe came to do, what the Balatanya came to do, is this Kikaro Veilecha. This is something that's Nogeya every Jew, and that's really what the Baal Shem Tov revolutionized in some way Jewish life and said, this is not something for the elite, this is something for every person, because it's Karo Veilecha. Everybody can accomplish and do and become kosher to the Ribono Shalom. And anybody with a nefesh, with a neshama Yehudi, and even if he does bad, it's klipas noiga, it's not the three klipas tameas, all these things that we're learning now, it's all already, it's there. It's all potentially there. All the kochos are there. And everyone in this room, men and women, lo mishaneh, has the ability, it's kikaro veilecha. And mitzvah Hashem, we should be zoiche through getting the proper hashpah from the Yom Tov that we're celebrating, indeed to internalize that message, that it's karo veilecha. That's mechayev us to be makar of others. It's mechayev us to be makar of ourselves. Because it's Korah Veilecha. This whole gamut of Torah Chasadim is all Korah Veilecha, and this is our responsibility. Especially we tonight, whoever's here, should realize that achrayus and responsibility to make it indeed Korah Pe'ol Mamish, to make it Taka Korah, and indeed Korah, like I said, Pe'ol Mamish. Amen.